And, but this might not be for everybody. Some people might even say that this is for the birds.
Yes.
I had to I had to do quite a bit of a stretch to make that transition happen, but
That's all right.
here we are.
Yeah. Yes. So for our classic movie review, of course, being October, you know, spooky, scary time, we watched the Alfred Hitchcock classic, The Birds, which I had never seen all the way through. I'd only seen parts of it. Um,
But having watched The Simpsons avidly for many years,
yeah.
we had kind of seen the movie,
Yes, we saw the references that they made.
which are of course the highlights of the movie. Uh,
Yeah,
hey, send the biggest bag of bird seed you have. No, that's too
so
big.
big. uh, or the babies with the pacifiers.
Yep.
Homer just slowly backing away.
So, so this movie is kind of interesting in a few ways. Well, first off, Hitchcock gets his required cameo right out of the way in the first minute or so,
Yeah, yeah,
which I thought was kind of amusing.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's probably the only place he could think of to put it.
Right, because he does not look like he belongs in a North California fishing town.
No, definitely not.
That, based on the accent, was inhabited by New Englanders? Question mark. That seemed kind of funny to me.
Yeah, but yeah. So the plot of the movie centers around Tippi Hedren's character. Um, I'm trying to remember her name. Um, Melanie, I think, is that right?
Let's find out. For some reason, I had
Yeah.
Commando pulled up, but not this one.
Yes, Melanie Daniels. Um,
Yes.
and she's a socialite, the daughter of one of the owners of the newspaper in San Francisco. She happens to be in a bird shop. She's looking for some kind of bird for somebody. I can't remember what it was.
She was looking for a minor bird because the interesting thing about her character is that she is just an inveterate prankster who
Yes.
basically willing to just do whatever it takes to get somebody. So her scheme was to get a minor bird, which can be trained to imitate speech, and teach it some four-letter words.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, while she's there, she runs into Mitch Brenner, who's played by the actor's name was Rod Taylor, and he was in the Time Machine. He was H.G. Wells in the Time Machine. Um,
He was also the voice of Pongo in 101 Dalmatians, apparently,
yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Um,
And
but
Winston Churchill in Inglorious Bastards. Hmm.
oh, I think that was his last movie. Um, but yeah, he's in the bird shop, and he and Melanie have this kind of like meet cute story, even though he knows who she is because he's a lawyer, and he tried a case where one of her pranks went a little too far.
Yep. And that's kind of interesting in general is that, okay, so if you just put this on and didn't have somebody watch like the opening with the birds,
Yeah,
for the first 45 minutes or so, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this was like a classic rom-com movie.
yeah, it progresses that way. Yeah, it's sort of like one of those like Doris Day and
Like
Cary
Rock
Grant
Hudson.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because the two have the meet cute. They don't get along, but she's interested in him clearly.
mhm.
So she decides to buy a couple of lovebirds to bring up to his little sister as a gift, just to mess with him.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
you get a hint that there's something weird going on because there's just so many birds in the sky in the opening, but they aren't doing anything too bad. Uh,
right. Yeah.
and then like the movie forgets that it's a horror movie called The Birds for a bit. It, and you could almost get lulled into a false sense of security that nothing is going wrong until a seagull attacks Tippy and like gashes her head open
Right. Yeah.
at a key moment where it's like, oh, this is the second meet cute, and oh, wait, what?
Oh, what? She's got a head wound, and they gotta he's got to help her out.
Yeah, so that's when the real movie begins.
Right. Yeah. And then we meet some of the other cast of characters. We get like Jessica Tandy, who plays Rod Taylor's mother, who he always calls her dear, which I find odd.
Yeah, that must be like an old affectation.
Yeah,
Also, might be th- uh, between this and Psycho. I wonder if Hitchcock kind of had a thing for mama's boys, or like portraying mama's boys.
probably. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also have his younger sister. Trying to remember her, Kathy, who's played by Veronica Cartwright. Most people will remember her from Alien. She was the other female crew member in that movie.
Mhm.
Um, and we also had the school teacher. So Tippy's staying with the school teacher. I'm trying to remember Annie, who's played by Suzanne Plachette, who most people will remember her from. She was Bob Newhart's wife on the Bob Newhart Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, she also did English voice in Spirited Away
yeah,
and Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
yeah. And and you can probably tell she's a very heavy smoker. um,
She definitely. So you mean to tell me that those weren't stunt cigarettes in the movie?
no,
Yeah. So there's a general ratcheting up of tension as there are more and more strange bird-centric events in this town.
yes, and it all kind of course, you had the great sequence there where all the birds fly down the chimney,
Hmm.
um, and then people, but then and it gets worse because then people start dying. Like there's rather gruesome looking uh, death scene in that movie in there where I would imagine in 1963 was probably very shocking, moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. If you haven't seen it, I don't necessarily want to spoil it, but it's very graphic, especially for the time.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, it all kind of just culminates where you have the massive bird attack in the middle of the day, and like they attack the school kids and they attack the people in the town. Um, you know, things blow up and it's just general mayhem, and it kind of turns into a bit of a disaster movie, actually.
Yeah, like and disaster movie with almost the trappings of a zombie movie in the sense of they're at one point they're stuck in the house and they have to try to barricade the birds out.
Yeah. um, but yeah, it's a uh, I know some people will probably think the effects kind of look really goofy and stupid, but you have to remember this was 1963, and I would say the effects look pretty darn good for the time.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments where they do some green screen with with the gulls and crows where there's like obvious clipping because
Yeah,
1960s technology. Uh, so that isn't the best. There's some bird, I guess we would call them puppets, animatronics
yeah,
that uh, don't necessarily look the best, but again, 1960s.
yeah.
But there were just so many scenes where I just found myself wondering, how the heck did they pull that off?
Yeah. Yeah, like all the scenes where all the birds are just all the different flocks are congregated everywhere because you had like a couple of hundred different birds, like crows and gulls and
Yeah.
just kind of they're perched on a jungle gym or they're perched on the house or walking around and like well
Mhm. Yeah, like, how did they get all those crows to congregate on the school jungle gym?
yeah yeah
So it's just, I really want to look up a documentary about how this was made. I also have a suspicion that this predates the no animals were harmed in the making of this movie, which happened, I
yeah
believe, after Heaven's Gate, where a horse was dynamited for one scene.
yes yeah
So
there were no ASPCA people on site for this movie, I would guess.
I suspect that after the birds flew down the chimney, like a bunch of little songbirds, I don't think they had to like find fake dead birds after that scene.
No.
But that's just a suspicion, and that is kind of the nice thing about movies from the analog days, because like nowadays, if I watched this movie, I would just go, "Oh, okay, they use CGI."
Yeah, yeah. Or whatever they used with Birdemic.
Well, okay, look, Birdemic is first off, Birdemic is a national treasure. I, look, fellas, if that man could come out with Birdemic and put it onto DVD with a straight face, there's nothing you can't do.
Fair point.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like basically, Birdemic is what a half-assed version of the birds looks like with 2000s green screen tech.
Right. Yeah.
What's also interesting is that they don't really tell you exactly what happened to make the birds flip out.
No, it's yeah, it's a mystery. Yeah, it's yeah, unlike Birdemic where like it's global warming. Yeah, you never find out what it is.
Yeah, they have some speculation that it's like related to lights in towns or something like that.
Mm. Yeah, there's an old lady that shows up who's a ornithologist and yeah.
I got the impression she was more just a way to up her own butt bird watcher.
Or yeah, 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 that's probably likely.
Let's see here. The other thing is like, okay, so Alfred Hitchcock knew how to set up a scene.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like even the meet cute scene at the bird shop, there were interesting camera angles all over the place.
yeah,
But at first, like, okay, this is he could have made himself a good rom com if you felt like it. And then you get to some of the bird attack scenes, and even as dated as some of the effects are, they are haunting.
yeah,
They managed to make the sight of a bunch of crows and gulls hanging around actually ominous and terrifying.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's that scene when Rod Taylor when he's walking outside and he's walking around them, and it's just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, it's like, oh no, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, yeah. They all just gonna attack him at once.
Yeah, but so yeah, I would give this a strong recommend. It is pretty terrifying.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, from this poster I found online, you can see back in the days when they didn't, and they must have just been showing this thing back to back. Please do not see the end first. See it from the beginning.
Yeah, they must have. Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah.
just
It
wonder
will.
how common that was.
Probably very common. Yeah. Um. Well, and I'm sure, like, especially with this movie, it's like like we were saying, like for the first 45 minutes, nothing really happens. So you feel like you're watching two different movies.
Yep. The
Mm.
benefit of doing it this way is that because the characters are so well drawn and established,
Mhm.
and you do see like the romantic relationship developing between the two leads, it makes some of the stuff that happens even more horrific.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually gets you invested in the characters. This isn't like a Jason movie where it's like, okay, come on, come on. This kid's a jerk. When does Jason rip his guts out?
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
meant
yeah.
to feel bad for everybody.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah, or like a Roland Emmerich disaster movie where it's like I don't care about these people.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah,
Yeah.
so strong recommend. It's on Netflix right now. If you're looking for something to watch for Spooktober, that's cut above some of the other schlock out there. Consider the birds.
Indeed. Yes. Well, I think this is our shortest show we've ever done.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. It's like
Yeah.
we're actually, I mean, unlike the birds, we're getting to the point.
Yes.